Hello. Okay, so the last time that I did a video, I was just about to start a build on an MPN transistor preamplifier using a 9-volt battery, using one of these 2N3904 MPN transistors. Okay, so unfortunately since then it's been a bit of a disaster. I hadn't had much success building the preamplifier, and I actually may have done some damage to the components. I was using a 9-volt battery, and I'm not entirely sure. I followed the schematic that I found online, but it seemed to degrade the signal, and it didn't cause any amplification, so I may need to return to that. So here in front of me, what I have now is an lm386 amplifier. So it uses an IC, the lm386 IC, and I've found a nice wee schematic online. And what this circuit does is it can provide an amplification of up to, I think, half a watt. And I've got this now hooked up to a 9-volt battery. I did find some diagrams that allowed me to use up to 9 volts. So I've got this all hooked up at the moment now to see if this would prove effective as a preamplifier for my project. So I'll show exactly what it does. First of all, I've got currently just going through the radio and receiving a signal from the radio. So there's a radio signal. I'll put this in. I'll switch on, and I actually have it hooked up to the speakers in the briefcase at the moment, so I'll switch it on now. And as you can hear, there's definitely amplification going on there. I have it hooked up to a pod as well, so that's it. Okay, so that was from the lowest to the highest setting there, and as you can hear, as I get to the full setting, the signal starts to become heavily distorted. Now, I'll just demonstrate this. Since I need this to kind of amplify a really low level signal that's going to be coming from, picked up by these solar panels, the signal needs to begin actually quite low. So if I turn this volume way down so it's barely audible, there's on 3 on the radio. So I'll plug this back in now and check out the amplification. So there's nothing coming through at the moment. Now if I turn it up, you can just start to hear it. And then once it gets to full, then the actual audio becomes inaudible, and it just becomes noise and distortion. So what I've come to conclude is that this particular amplifier circuit won't serve the purpose of a preamplifier, basically because it's good at taking a higher level signal and amplifying it, but anything that's of low level, such as the signal that will be generated from these solar panels, any amplification that it does, it will introduce a significant amount of noise and distortion, so much so that it would render the whole process pointless for my instrument, because I am looking to have some kind of clean sound coming from the speakers in the end, and not what you just heard. So unfortunately, although it was an interesting circuit to build, I have learned a lot from it. I don't think I will be able to use it. One thing to note as well is that I wasn't able to find all of the components to hand in the workshop I'm in at the moment, so I had to kind of do some improvising. I did a bit of research and found out that capacitors can be used in parallel to add the capacitance values, and in series to half them, basically. So I have, if you can actually see here, I've got two two sets of capacitors in series, and I did this to half their 220 value down to 110 because the schematic required a 100 microfarad capacitor, which I did not have. So the build isn't exactly how the schematic is, and that could be a reason as to why it's not working as well as I want, but I do think that they would make minimal changes to the overall effect. So I do think that, unfortunately, this particular circuit isn't going to be of use to me. So I may now try and go back to the preamplifier circuit with the transistor and have another go at it if the components still work, that is. And I will post back once I have got that done.